Hello again, and welcome back to Year 5 of the Religious Education Initiative. This is week 26. We are continuing our way through the book of Leviticus on this day 1. So we've actually been jumping around in the book of Leviticus for the past several weeks, and for the last 2 weeks we have seen the outline of the great pilgrimage festivals of the Hebrew year. Before that, however, we had seen the specific instructions for the Day of Atonement, which is to say, the purification of the tabernacle and all the people once a year. And prior to that, we had seen the guidelines for purification, following the death of Aaron's sons after their ordination. After all of this, in chapter 17, we reach what is often called the Holiness Code. What we should listen to, besides the actual guidelines themselves, is who these guidelines are addressed to, because that's important and not necessarily what we expect. There are at least 3 options here. God will tell Moses to either speak to Aaron and his sons or to the people of Israel, but the guidelines will be for 1. The priests, 2. All the people of Israel, or 3. For the aliens, the non-Israelites who live among them. That final point is very relevant to us, who are non-Israelites, but Christians, and therefore take part in the salvation God has accomplished through his people Israel. That is to say, that he himself has accomplished becoming human of the race of Israel. So, this is chapter 17. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Speak to Aaron and his sons and to all the people of Israel, and say to them, This is what the Lord has commanded. If anyone of the house of Israel slaughters an ox or a lamb or a goat in the camp, or slaughters it outside the camp, and does not bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting, to present it as an offering to the Lord before the tabernacle of the Lord, he shall be held guilty of bloodshed. He has shed blood, and he shall be cut off from the people. This is in order that the people of Israel may bring their sacrifices that they offer in the open field, that they may bring them to the Lord, to the priest at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and offer them as sacrifices of well-being to the Lord." So peace offerings. "The priest shall dash the blood against the altar of the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and turn the fat into smoke as a pleasing odor to the Lord, so that they may no longer offer their sacrifices for goat demons, to whom they prostitute themselves. This shall be a statute forever to them throughout their generations. And say to them further, any one of the house of Israel, or of the aliens who reside among them, who offers a burnt offering or sacrifice, and does not bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting, to sacrifice it to the Lord, shall be cut off from the people. If any one of the house of Israel, or of the aliens who reside among them, eats any blood, I will set my face against that person who eats blood, and will cut that person off from the people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you for making atonement for your lives on the altar. For as life it is the blood that makes atonement. Therefore I have said to the people of Israel, no person among you shall eat blood, nor shall any alien who resides among you eat blood. And any one of the people of Israel, or of the aliens who reside among them, who hunts down an animal or a bird that may be eaten, shall pour out its blood, and cover it with earth. For the life of every creature, its blood is its life. Therefore I have said to the people of Israel, you shall not eat the blood of any creature, for the life of every creature is its blood. Whoever eats it shall be cut off. All persons, citizens, Israelites, or aliens, non-Israelites, who eat what dies of itself or what has been torn by wild animals, shall wash their clothes and bathe themselves in water, and be unclean until the evening. Then they shall be clean. But if they do not wash themselves or bathe their body, they shall bear their guilt. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the people of Israel, and say to them, I am Yahweh, the Lord your God. You shall not do as they do in the land of Egypt where you lived, and you shall not do as they do in the land of Canaan to which I am bringing you. You shall not follow their statutes. My ordinances you shall observe, and my statutes you shall keep, following them. I am the Lord, Yahweh your God. You shall keep my statutes and my ordinances. By doing so one shall live. I am Yahweh the Lord. None of you shall approach anyone near of kin to uncover nakedness. I am Yahweh the Lord. And then, we're not going to go into all the details, but for the next 13 verses, every possible relative is outlined in detail, as God forbids any sexual relationship with any relatives, whether they are related by blood or by marriage. And then he continues, "You shall not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness while she is in her menstrual uncleanness. You shall not lie with your kinsman's wife and defile yourself with her. You shall not give any of your offspring to sacrifice them to Molech, and so profane the name of your God. I am Yahweh, the Lord. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. You shall not lie with any animal and defile yourself with it, nor shall any woman give herself to an animal to lie with it. It is perversion. Do not defile yourselves in any of these ways, for by all these practices the nations I am casting out before you have defiled themselves. Thus the land became defiled, and I punished it for its iniquity, and the land vomited out its inhabitants. But you shall keep my statutes and my ordinances, and commit none of these abominations, either the citizen, the Israelite, or the alien, the non-Israelite, who resides among you. For the inhabitants of the land who were before you committed all these abominations, and the land became defiled. Otherwise the land will vomit you out for defiling it, as it vomited out the nation that was before you. For whoever commits any of these abominations shall be cut off from their people. So keep my charge, not to commit any of these abominations that were done before you, and not to defile yourselves by them. I am Yahweh the Lord, your God." Okay, so this is a challenging passage to read because it's not particularly kid-friendly, and it's not particularly pleasant to read. But in a little while, we're going to see in the book of Acts the rules that are imposed on Christians who are not Jews, who are not Israelites, who are Greeks or Romans or anyone else. And what we see is they're not required to do anything except three things. They are to abstain from idolatry, they are to abstain from eating blood, and they are to abstain from sexual immorality. They are to observe this law, this guidance that is found in chapter 17 and in chapter 18 of Leviticus. And we will discuss more why this is the case, but it's not actually difficult, because every one of these things that is forbidden is a direct assault on the right relationship that human beings are called to have with God. Idolatry is obvious. This is why the sacrifice is forbidden except to Yahweh, the God of Israel. If anyone, no one's going to just kill an animal for food. That wasn't done. It was always a sacrifice to someone, to something. And the Lord is saying, sacrifice to me. And if you kill it anywhere else, bring it to me. Do not offer these things to anyone else. Stop worshiping elsewhere. And we will see this throughout the rest of the Old Testament. We see this. This is why it's a problem that the children of Israel are making sacrifices on the high places, because they're not sacrificing to Yahweh, the God of Israel. And they might say, oh, we are, but maybe also we'll make a sacrifice to this or that God or the other God. And they enter into these sacrifices. So that's the first thing. If they make a sacrifice, if they're going to make an offering, if they're going to worship a God, they must worship the true God, and not turn their back and follow the rebellious demon gods who are seeking to destroy them and us. So that's the first thing. Second, eating blood. This is perhaps confusing to us, but it's based on that principle, that reality, that understanding that the life is in the blood. So the blood is the life of the living creature, and life and soul are the same concept, right? So someone who eats blood with that presupposition, that being what everyone understood, the life of an animal, the life of a human being, the life of a creature is in the blood. So anyone that eats the blood is basically doing blood magic. They've killed something, and they are consuming its life to make themselves stronger. This is magic. This is witchcraft. This is, taking the life of another to consume it yourself. God instead says, do not do that. If you are worshiping me, he says, then make the sacrifice. You may eat part of it, give some of it to me, but the blood is to be poured out or sprinkled, because it is your offering of your life, not your death, but your living life. He doesn't want us to die, but with the blood of the animal, we offer our life to him. And in this, we are reconciled to him. I think this is what's happening if we actually, pay attention. So eating blood is absolutely forbidden. And then we have the third thing, the sexual immorality. Now again, this is directed against the idea that exists in Greek and Roman culture before Christ, and in every other pagan culture, that the man of the house has absolute power over every creature in the house. And it was common, it was normal. Slaves would be used physically, sexually, by the master of the house. Relatives, any male or female in the home, would be subjected to that use if the master wanted. Among the people of Israel, this is absolutely forbidden. And and God makes it absolutely explicit, listing every single relationship. We didn't read that because it's deeply unpleasant to even think about. But this is what is being forbidden, right? And it doesn't really matter if it's consensual, because, well, even that consensuality then is an offense to the relationship that is, well, to the marriage relationship with the wife, but and to the faithfulness to God. But what's being addressed here is especially that violence, that coercion, that abuse, that objectification that is present in any of these unequal relationships. But even the idea of equality doesn't fix it. First of all, you can't really abolish the inequality. There's always one who has more wealth, more power, more, all of these things are forbidden. But faithfulness in the marriage relationship is required of God's people. And then as well, the issue with no intimacy during menstruation is a matter of, this isn't for pleasure. This is, because that, I don't want to get into it, but that's not a consensual thing. That's only for one person, right? And then it's notable that it's associated with the sacrificing of one's offspring to Molech. What we're saying here is the relationship of a husband and wife is sacred and holy, and the offspring that come from that are God's. Then they must not be offered. They must not be killed or, God forbid, eaten, which are the things that are happening in these pagan. And it's this sort of thing that then we come to the statement: the nations who I'm driving out before you, they practice these things. The other nations, the pagan nations, they do these things, having been taught by the demon gods they worship, to whom they are enslaved, to do these things. And by doing them, they defile the land. And when things reach a certain point, the land will vomit them out, and they will be cast out and destroyed. So he says, do not do these things, or you will be cast out. Unfortunately, they did do these things, and the land did cast them out. But this is, when we're talking about what is sexual immorality, violence, coercion, unfaithfulness, and the sacrificing of children to the demon gods of power and pleasure or fertility or whatever. All of these things are forbidden. So, not just to the Israelites, but to Christians as well. We'll see this as we go on. So, that's it. Not the easiest conversation, but an important one. God bless you all. We'll see you shortly for day 2.